I'll expand the story to ensure it reaches a full 6 minutes. Once upon a time in a small quiet town nestled between rolling hills, there lived a little boy named Leo. With his big brown eyes that seemed to hold the weight of the world, Leo was known by everyone in town as a thoughtful and emotional child. Although he was only 7 years old, his heart was as tender as the petals of a flower. Leo was the youngest in a family of 5, with 2 older brothers who were always busy with their own adventures. While they laughed and played, Leo often found himself alone, sitting by the window watching the world go by. He wasn't lonely in the way that made you sad, but in a way that made him deeply aware of every little thing around him. Leo noticed things that others didn't. The way the sun painted the sky in hues of pink and orange at dusk, the way the birds chirped their songs in the early morning, and the way the leaves danced in the wind as if they were sharing secrets with one another. His sensitivity was both a gift and a burden. He could feel the joy in the laughter of others, but he could also sense the sadness hidden behind a forced smile. His emotions ran deep and sometimes they overwhelmed him, making him feel as though the whole world was resting on his small shoulders. One of Leo's favorite places was the forest near his home. It was a place of peace and quiet, where he could retreat whenever his emotions became too much to bear. Deep in the forest was a small clearing surrounded by tall, whispering trees. In the center of the clearing stood an old tree stump, worn smooth by years of weathering. This stump was Leo's sanctuary, a place where he could sit for hours, letting his emotions flow like a river. Sometimes he cried not because he was sad but because he felt everything so intensely: the beauty of the world, the pain of others, and the loneliness that sometimes crept into his own heart. Leo's parents loved him dearly, but they often worried about their sensitive son. They didn't always understand why he was so easily moved to tears or why he preferred solitude over playing with other children. His mother would gently stroke his hair and ask, "What's wrong, my sweet boy?" But Leo often found it hard to put his feelings into words. How could he explain that he wasn't sad in the way people usually meant? He just felt deeply, and sometimes the world was too beautiful, too heartbreaking for him to keep it all inside. One chilly autumn afternoon, as Leo sat in his clearing, he noticed something unusual. A small bird with a broken wing was struggling on the ground, flapping helplessly in the fallen leaves. Leo's heart ached for the tiny creature, and without a second thought he gently scooped it up in his hands. The bird was trembling with fear, but Leo's gentle touch seemed to soothe it. He cradled the bird against his chest, feeling its rapid heartbeat against his own, and promised it that he would take care of it. Leo took the bird home and carefully tended to its injury with the same tenderness he showed to everything in his world. He used soft cloth to make a little bed for the bird in a small box, placing it near the window where the sun could warm it. Every day, Leo would visit the bird, speaking to it in soft whispers, sharing his thoughts and feelings as if the bird could understand every word. He told the bird about the things that made him happy and the things that made him sad. He talked about the way the light filtered through the trees in the forest and how he sometimes felt like the world was too big for him. As the days turned into weeks, the bird's wing began to heal and it grew stronger. Leo could see the bird's spirit returning, its eyes becoming brighter and its chirps more cheerful. He was overjoyed to see his little friend recovering, but at the same time, a quiet sadness settled in his heart. He knew that soon it would be time to say goodbye. One crisp autumn morning, with the leaves turning shades of gold and red, Leo knew that the moment had come. He took the bird back to the clearing in the forest, the place where they had first met. His heart was heavy with a mixture of sadness and pride. With tears in his eyes, Leo opened his hands and the bird hesitated for a moment, looking up at him with a kind of understanding that only animals can have. Then, with a few flaps of its wings, it took to the sky, soaring higher and higher until it was just a speck in the distance. Leo watched the bird disappear into the sky, feeling a pang of loss but also a deep sense of peace. He realized that, just like the bird, he too was learning to navigate his emotions and let go of the things he couldn't hold on to forever. It was a bittersweet lesson, but one that made him stronger. That day, as Leo walked back home through the forest, he noticed how the sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a golden glow on the path ahead. He listened to the rustle of the leaves and the distant sound of bird song, feeling a connection to the world around him that he had never fully understood before. Leo knew that his emotions were a part of who he was, and while they sometimes made him feel vulnerable, they also made him strong. For in his small, quiet world, Leo had discovered that it was okay to feel deeply, to cry when he needed to, and to cherish the moments that made his heart swell with emotion. As he lay in bed that night, staring at the stars through his window, Leo felt a sense of contentment. He had learned that his sensitivity was not a weakness, but a beautiful gift that made his world a little more magical. And as he drifted off to sleep, he knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, he would face them with the same gentle strength that had helped him heal a tiny bird with a broken wing. The end.